Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimalo here in Abuja. So much is getting our attention tonight, and we're just getting to see that the Nigerian Police Force has released a statement in respect of some of the allegations against the tenure of the Inspector General of Police, Kaude Egbetokum. We'll be hearing from the police tonight on what the issues relating to the amendment of the Police Act, which has extended the tenure of the Inspector General of Police office and affected IGP Egbetokum. But again, tonight our attention is also part of what we're going to be discussing is the allegations of 50 million naira bribe from the APC government to opposition leaders to gag them, or to what exactly? That gets our attention too tonight. Stick around with me, everyone. But first and foremost, let's serve you with some of your political roundup stories.
Vice President Kashim Shettima says the commitment of President Bola Tinubu's administration to women empowerment is not a cosmetic performance, but a fundamental pillar of national development agenda. He said this at the commencement of a two-day gender inclusion conference in Abuja, where he notes that women must be at the forefront of Africa's economy that is projected to hit $29 trillion by the year 2050.
Our commitment to gender inclusion is not a cosmetic performance to placate the sensibilities of progressives. It is a fundamental pillar of our national development agenda. We are not just assuring the women of Nigeria of their place in our collective journey.
And former Senate President Pius Ayim says besides the Constitutional Conference of 2006 and the 2014 confab, no other structured effort has been made in a decade to resolve the ever-lingering issues of instability in the Nigerian polity. He said this at the launch of a book published by the Inter-Party Advisory Council in Abuja. Mr. Ayim emphasized the need for a national dialogue to address Nigeria's lingering instability issues.
It behoves this generation of leaders and the elites to establish that dialogue and reach that consensus that Nigeria sorely needs to rid itself and her component parts of the mutual suspicion, distrust, and antagonism.
The Court of Appeal in Abuja has affirmed the proscription of the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB as a terrorist organization. In a unanimous decision by a three-member panel led by Justice Hama Baraka, the appellate court affirmed the judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja, which outlawed IPOB. The court held that it found no reason to set aside the order the federal government got against the group. And the convener of the Revolution Now movement, Omoyele Sowore, has been granted bail to the tune of 10 million naira and one surety in like sum. The surety is expected to deposit the original documents of landed property and a passport photograph to the registrar of the court. While ruling on the bail application, the trial judge, Justice Musa Liman, ordered Sowore to deposit his international passport with the registrar of the court. The judge, however, gave him 24 hours to perfect the bail conditions or be remanded by the police until the bail is perfected. And the Niger State government has appealed to businesses and residents to embrace what it called a responsible mining policy of the state government for their safety. Governor Omar Bago made this known when he visited the scene of the explosion in Sabon Pegi, Mashegu local government area of the state to commiserate with victims and community members. The governor acknowledged that the area has a large deposit of gold and lithium and is characterized by artisanal mining, resulting in insecurity in the area.
We have a number of people with kidney and renal infection as a result of all these things. So we have called on them to see that they use the conventional ways of mining.
Yesterday, you saw what happened. It was a show of mess, a show of shame at the headquarters of the People's Democratic Party, and we see leaders of the party moving swiftly to resolve and clear what has become a very disastrous event and incident at the party's headquarters yesterday. So some governors of the party from the northeastern region of the country met today in Bauchi State alongside the Reconciliation Committee of the party led by Chief Olagunsoye Oyinlola, and it was in a bid to resolving the crisis in the party. So the Reconciliation Committee met with the party's governors and some key stakeholders from the Northeast region in a bid to resolve the internal conflicts and re-establish a formidable force aimed at reclaiming power from the ruling APC in the 2027 general elections. The acting national chairman of the party, Umaru Damagum, was present at a meeting, assures PDP members that it would not serve the personal interests of any individual within the party. He emphasized the party is greater than any person and the collective strength would ensure its resilience. Some of the governors who spoke and the leaders of the party there, I'll allow you to listen to them and their stance on the situation in the party. Of course, we're getting some reactions on what is happening in the nation. This one particularly gets a lot of people talking when there are claims against the office of the Inspector General of Police, IGP Tenure. So the police today has released a statement refuting claims, especially those that are made by Mr. Omoyele Sowore on IGP Tenure. And the police have come out to say there is a clarification on saying that the appointment is legal, constitutional, and duly confirmed by the police council. In a portion of the statement, and I quote, it says, the Nigeria Police Force hereby refutes in clear and unequivocal terms the baseless and misleading claims recently attributed to Mr. Omoyele Sowore, alleging that the tenure of the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kaode Adeolu Ogbedokum, is illegal. Some claims are entirely false, unfounded, and seek to undermine the legitimacy of the IGP's appointment, as well as a public confidence in the Nigerian police force. IGP Egbedokun's appointment is firmly grounded in law, specifically Part 3, Section 7, subsection 6 of the Police Act 2020 as amended. This provision explicitly states that the person appointed to the office of the Inspector General of Police shall hold office for 4 years. Moreover, his appointment was duly ratified by the Police Council and he has received a requisite confirmation letter from the Presidency validating his tenure from October 31, 2023 to October 31, 2027, in line with the provisions of the Section 8A of the Executive Bill passed, which amended the Police Act. Now, a lot of people perhaps may have seen it, you may have seen it, but what are your thoughts about this? Based on what the police have said and the position of the presidency in relation to the tenure of the Nigerian police force, Inspector General of Police, IGP Egbedokum. Is it about the IGP Egbedokum or about the office of the IGP? There are questions as to the reasons why these are being, the law was amended. Was it because of Egbedokum? There are a lot of people who are talking about the need for the amendment. But interestingly, this statement is coming a few minutes ago. We had a lot of conversations different from this, but this gets our attention now on the program. I'm being joined by those members who sat on the amendment of the law. Honorable Yusuf Gadi, representing Pashking, Kanam, and Kanke Federal Constituency in Plateau State in the Federal House of Representatives, and the chairman of the House Committee on Navy is live for us. He's also a leader in the All Progressives Congress APC. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, Sean.
You're a member of the police committee, isn't it? In the House.
Yes.
And so this, coincidentally, you are here to discuss totally different things, but now this is happening. When Sowore, for example, said IGP Egbedokum tenure is illegal, is unconstitutional, you are one of those who amended the law, the Police Act, to that effect. And there was an executive bill from the president, the subsection 8 of that section. What is the position of the House or of the Parliament in that respect?
Well, it's laughable, first and foremost, for Sowore to say that the appointment of the IG is illegal and the IG is acting illegally. It's laughable. It's not that statement to me. was not meted on the Nigerian police force. It was meted on the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Why did you say so?
Because, one, let me talk about my qualification to be here. At the risk of allowing people to misrepresent me as a mouthpiece of the Nigerian police, no. It wasn't an executive bill to correct that impression. 2020 Police Act that was signed by President Buhari on the 16th of September 2020 was a bill single-handedly sponsored by me in the House of Representatives in the 9th Assembly.
So you were behind it?
I was the single-handedly. It has no co-sponsor. It was a member-sponsored bill as a result of Femi Bajabiamila's commitment to ensure security reforms, and I took up the bill, I took up the matter, I sponsored it on the floor of the House. It was concurred by the Senate and signed by former President Buhari on the 16th of September 2020. Was IGP Kayode Omuto Kuna, I don't even know his other surname, was he the Inspector General of Police when this bill was sponsored in 2020, 2019 to 2020?
It was a DCP at that time or a
signed
CP?
A DCP and CP. Then why are you personalizing it to the present IG? The reason for insertion, before I come to Showere's whatsoever, I don't find his statement as a human being making such statement. This bill was signed into law by the former president, not President Aswaju, for people to bring ethnical sentiment to it that it was aimed at elongating or extending the tenure of the present Inspector General of Police. It was signed during Mohammed Adamu as an Inspector General of Police from the north, from Nasarawa State. What was the rationale behind myself and members of the 9th Assembly in ensuring that tenure is being provided for in the Police Act of 2020 that was signed by President Buhari? First, we noticed the provision of the Police Act. It was an old version. It was a Police Act of 1947, before the independent Nigeria, where it was put together, fashioned, and made a Police Act of 2020. Then we said, no, we cannot be saying we want internal security, we want police reform, and yet our Police Act is a Police Act of pre-colonial Nigeria. And now the clamor for state police was there too. I said, let us be very fast in saving the Nigerian people. Let us reduce the number of time if you are arrested from prosecution from 48 hours to 24 hours to ensure people's freedom. That is what, with utmost respect, that man is benefiting today. He's been granted bail because the provision of the Police Act is adjusted. 1. 2, let us remove a bottleneck for women police not to attend to the position of becoming Inspector General of Police. We amended, I totally moved for a complete repeal and reenactment of the former Police Act prior to 2020 that was signed by President Buhari to remove bottlenecks for women not to become Commissioner of Police, not to becoming Assistant Inspector General of Police, not to becoming Deputy Inspector General of Police, not to becoming Inspector General of Police.
So before now,
a woman cannot
become
based
a
on
CP,
based on the provision of the former Police Act.
And a woman cannot be IG?
Of course.
Or DIG or AIG?
The thing is that I blame the police. Because if we have achieved that far, and I was single-handedly the sponsor of that bill that was signed into law, the education about the present Police Act of September 2020 should have been escalated by the Nigerian police to know that a lot of clauses have already been completely repealed and reenacted. I think Shore is ignorant of the adjustment in the Police Act. It was in 2020, September 16, that it was signed by President Buhari.
How come that between 2020, just a moment,
yes,
between 2020 and 2023,
yes,
there were 2 IGPs?
There were who were beneficiaries of the adjustment in the
But they
Police
didn't benefit from it.
They didn't, they benefited.
You are talking
about one section. You are talking about one section. If you are an IGP from 2020 till this time, let me tell you why it was adjusted. It is because of the frequent changes in the appointment of the Inspector General of Police. That is why the National Assembly find wisdom in making sure that it is tenured. From 1999 till date, we have over 22 indigenous Inspector General of Police. It means that they are changed almost every year. Then we said, no, if you want police reform, you cannot be a president for 8 years, be a governor for 4 or 8 years, subject to your re-election by your own people, and now you have an Inspector General of Police that you have 22 from 1999 till date. Therefore, let us make a provision that it may please the president to consider appointing Inspector General for a period of 4 years to ensure stability, one. Two, to equally ensure that if you want police reform, you cannot appoint someone. Within 12 months, you remove him. Another person come with his vision. Within 12 months, you remove him. Another one come. Within 6 months, he is retired. You cannot do police reform in that circumstance. And as a result of that, we said, no, let's provide a tenure for. It is within the wisdom of the former president, perhaps. That is why my own and our own in the National Assembly is to make law for the good of this country. We have done that. If the two previous Inspector General of Police did not benefit from that, I think it is within the powers of the executive to ensure that that section is properly interpreted and implemented. I give kudos to President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu for whosoever that want to misrepresent his action. So for ensuring that...
Honorable, the question is that if in the last 4 years, right?
Yes.
The law was amended 4 years ago.
Yes.
5 years ago,
5
actually,
years,
2020. Yes. And within that period, there have been more than two Inspector General of Police. Yeah. Yes. But after that law was amended,
yes,
those Inspector General of Police were not beneficial.
I have an institution that was signed in 2020, conversion of Federal University of Education from a status of Federal College of Education to a status of Federal University. A bill also single-handedly sponsored by me, that the process of implementation took Federal Ministry of Education up to last year, September, October, before they moved to change the nomenclature of that.
So it was Buhari that did not implement.
That is it. But
the law says that an IG position should be tenured.
Part 3, Section 7, subsection 6 of 2020 Police Act empowered the president to appoint Inspector General of Police for the period of 4 years. It wasn't implemented. It's being implemented now. Where was Sowore when the bill was signed by President Buhari in 2020 during the so-called NSAS? Why have he not gone to media? Why have he not criticized the provision of that particular clause, part 3, section 7, subsection 6? Have he been deaf and dumb? I expect him as a learned person in Nigeria to have known that the Police Act was signed in 2020, 16 September. Then criticize the provision of the Police Act then. If you have problem with the president, I don't have problem with him. I have met him 6 times only in the course of discharging my duty. I cannot even pronounce Kayode's surname. But let the truth be told. We cannot suffer, go through the 4 angles of teething trouble, push for a police reform, that over 89 sections of the Police Act were totally repealed and reenacted. Then somebody will come just today, perhaps because of political conspiracy, economic conspiracy, you will come within the comfort of your fingertip and begin to tweet that the appointment of somebody that the bill have passed through serious legislative scrutiny by both the Senate and the House of Representatives, concord, taken to the president, minuted to the chief law officer, the attorney general of the federation, and it was agreed to be signed into law. Then somebody will just ridicule within the comfort of the angle of his room and begin to insult.
So it's interesting and suspicious, actually, and perhaps the reason why Omoyele Sowore is having a problem with the arrangement. When you had Muhammad Adamu, it was during the tenure, Muhammad Adamu was in office when the police act
during his time.
Then you had Usman Akali Baba,
yes,
who came into office.
Yes.
Actually, because of the amendment of the law, Muhammad Adamu should have left office in 2003,
Yes.
2023,
Yes.
because he was in office in 2019.
Yes.
He did not benefit.
Yes.
Came Usman Akali Baba in 2021. He left in 2023, spending 2 years. There is a law saying appointment of the IG should be for 4 years. Yes. Now you have Kayode Egbetokun coming into office. The fact that Kayode Egbetokun had worked with Bola Tinubu when he was governor in Lagos, is that not suspicious enough?
It is not. Rather, the position of Sowore is suspicious. It's what is suspicious. My brother, because I have worked with Asiwaju when he was a governor of state, and I still serve diligently in the Nigerian police, it doesn't mean if I am qualified to benefit from the position of the law, I should not benefit. If you go by that sentiment, nobody will work with Asiwaju. If you go by that sentiment, nobody would have worked with President Muhammadu Buhari. If you go by that sentiment, nobody would have worked with Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Certainly, when Goodluck was deputy governor, certainly when he became governor, certainly when Yar'Adua was a governor, when he became president, he must have had people he trusts that he can assign them some certain responsibility, having become the president. It is not a taboo, because the present IG, at the risk of being the police public relation officer in this program, I don't care how you misrepresent my defense of a bill, of a law that passed through me, through House of Reps, through Senate, signed into law, and somebody is abusing it. I can go to any level constitutionally to stand against that. Rather, what is suspicious is his position. Why wouldn't you ask him, where was he when this bill was signed into law on the 16th of September 2020? Why didn't he tweet? Was he not educated enough to know how to use Twitter or Instagram or WhatsApp group or press conference or Sahara Reporters? He should have been quite learned. I believe in 2020, his Twitter handle was active. What stopped him from scrutinizing that law that was signed into law on the 16th of September? It is now that you want to bring that. Secondly, about the implementation of government policies, we must educate ourselves to understand. A judgment was passed by the Supreme Court of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Are we together, Shane?
I'm listening here.
About the autonomy of local government. Till the time the judgment was delivered up to here, have it been implemented? No. Why? It's a process. A bill is signed today. You want the bill to take into effect tomorrow. Take it or leave it. Former Inspector General Adamu and the immediate past IG would have been a victim of slow guinness of the executive arm of government in implementing legislative framework that are pushed to them and signed into law by them by the National Assembly. That I agree. There could have been politics, which I'm not in a better position to explain, as to the reason why the former president did not give the former Inspector General Adamu, whose time was that bill signed into law. Remember too, Adamu was removed when the president was out of Nigeria, when someone was acting as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So, to me, I don't understand the politics that is going on, but I know when you pass a legislation, it takes a bureaucratic process for it to be put together and for implementation to commence. So if they have not commenced implementation, it will not be that it is as a result of sentiment that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in and discovered there is a gap, and discovered there is an act, and discovered the process of implementing that act have been put together, and discovered there is community policing, that before 2020, it wasn't a recognition of any legal framework, but the 2020 Police Act recognizes the implementation of community policing. All those things is a process now they have started. So why should someone not question Sowore? Is that how to pronounce it?
Sowore.
Sowore, whatever. Because I've never taken interest to pronounce his name. Now, could you not have called him, or people should have questioned his reason for criticizing a law that have put in place, signed by executive?
So when you were pushing, Honorable,
it is now that he is talking.
When you were pushing for this law, and I'm going to come to how maybe the likes of Showore were suspicious about the appointment of Mr. Egbetokun. When you were pushing for this law, did you put in consideration the issue of seniority before the appointment? Or
of course.
Did you put the discretion for the president in appointment?
Of course.
What position did you take?
You cannot appoint a junior officer to be the Inspector General of Police ahead of the existing. The appointment itself comes as a seniority. But in an event, like in the case of the present IG, you are appointed in the first instance. That tells you that it takes a process for government to study a law and implement the law. His first appointment was not based on the provision of 4 years tenure. It was based on the provision of the fact that he was appointed, whatsoever the reason it, he became the senior in the Nigerian police force, other senior officers are retired, then it gives him the enablement to function as an Inspector General of Police one. Secondly, having studied the law, that yes, if you allow this process of appointing people within 6 months, 1 year they retire, another person come with a different vision, you remove him, his tenure finish, either by his number of years in service or the 6 months or whatever, his age limit in service, and you equally remove him. It brings a political catastrophe to the police.
Did you think, and the position you made earlier as to the reasoning behind the appointment of Kayode Egbetokun, the question is that were there no people who were more senior than him for the president to jump over their heads for the appointment of Kayode Egbetokun?
But let me ask you, has there ever been a time that any president in Nigeria, both in the appointment of Inspector General of Police and the appointment of services chief in the Nigerian military, that a junior ranking officer is not appointed to enable the raising and stability in all the services? Call me any president that have not done that in the history of Nigeria, from Olusegun Obasanjo.
Does that make it right?
To this, it makes it right. Because I am a chairman of an armed forces. I know the bureaucracy of the armed forces. This is what the bill seeks to cure by providing for a tenure.
But you truncate the years of service and bring to an end. Just a moment, you bring to an end the time of some officers, truncate it so that you can,
it's not truncating,
to promote one.
It's not truncating the year of service. These have not, anybody, is the IGP appointed out of the service? Does Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu go out of the police force to pick a retired police officer to come and appoint him? If Kayode is a beneficiary of this law today, tomorrow another ASP or DSP will equally be a beneficiary of this law. You ask question about appointing junior, retiring senior. For instance, you have a chief of defense staff that perhaps he is in the course 35 or 39 or 40. Then the other services will not be in course 40. They will be in course 39 to allow the chief of defense staff be a 4-star general and the other one 3-star general. So in an event that you want to appoint and you feel I'm here and you feel the service chief, including the police inspector general of police, are in course 39, you want to appoint the next one. Would you want to pick again in that course 39? They are forces, both the police and the armed forces are advocate of discipline. You cannot appoint an IG, he retired, and appoint another IG from that course to retire. When he retired, by the tradition of the police and military, it means all the course, the senior officers under the course of that cadre are retiring with the IG that retired. So it doesn't mean that they are picking someone.
Did you also reason that in the time that Kayode Egbetokun will be in office, there are a lot of people who maybe would have been due for to be an IG or AIG or DIG, but because of the extension or the tenure of
it's
the
not
IG,
extension, because of the implementation of that provision of section.
Don't you think that will also affect them? And at the time that Kayode Egbetokun would have spent 4 years, wouldn't he be older than the expected year of service?
It is better in military, it is better in police force for him to be older than not to be older. Let me tell you something. Have we ever had 5 inspector general of police at the same time? No. Assuming he is going, his cosmates are going with him. If you don't appoint him based on the provision of the existing Police Act, which is an insult to the law, for not appointing that, for not implementing the provision of that law, would you now say that all AIG, DIG are going to automatically become Inspector General of Police? You have one at a time. And take it or leave it. As this provision is not comfortable to others, it favors others. By the way, laws are not met based on personal sentiment and benefit of the beneficiaries of those laws. Laws are made to benefit the system. If the rationale behind ensuring that there is a provision of 4-year tenure for Inspector General of Police is to ensure that you give time to the leader of the police to come up with police reform, and he failed to do that, then hold him accountable.
So,
but not
you're saying that you were the one who sponsored that bill.
Yes.
It was passed in 2020.
Yes.
Buhari did not implement it by appointing people for the 4-year tenure.
Yes.
Tinubu came into office, and Egbetokun benefited from it, and it's not Egbetokun's fault.
Yes, it's not.
That's your position.
It's not Tinubu's fault either. Because it's not President Tinubu that signed that bill into law. It is President Muhammadu Buhari that signed it, but did not implement. For whatever bureaucratic bottlenecks that make it impossible for him to implement.
So all the claims Showora is making,
she would have done it during the
IGP is an illegal.
He personalized the thing. It is obvious that he had problem with either the Nigerian police, he had problem with either the ruling party, which is clearly exhibited based on his antecedent. He had personal problem with the police, and he want to personalize it. Otherwise, ask him this question: where was he when the bill was subjected to public hearing? As a civic right activist, why wouldn't he appear in the National Assembly? General public were invited. I have the newspaper by Honorable Kumo, who was the then, now Chief Whip, who was then the chairman of the police committee in the House of Representatives, and distinguished Senator Haliru Jika. The public hearing was called. It published in newspaper. This man was nowhere to be found. His Twitter was nowhere to be found. He didn't come to say and object that provision, whereas National Assembly have made it open for every civic society organization to come and make presentation. He didn't. It didn't stop there. When President Muhammadu Buhari signed, the man disappeared as a civic rights activist. He didn't say anything. He didn't. Just now, after 5 years, he manifested with Twitter handle, and he's talking. He's insulting not the police, but the National Assembly as an institution. And some of us would be less people to allow any individual. We don't have the power to arrest him or say anything. But you cannot undermine.
Is it enough to drag him to court over his expression of his views about it?
Is that the expression of the view? You think now, Shehu, if I appear in any radio house or pick my Twitter handle and say, you are not the begotten, you are not the son of your father, you are illegally born, do you think you will not take me to court?
So it's justified what the police have done?
It's justified for police to take him to court.
All right.
Where your rights end, that's where the beginnings of another person's right.
Let's take a break.
Let us have decorum in using our fingertip on our telephones and computers.
Let's take a break, Honorable. There is so much more to talk on the state of the nation. Honorable Yusuf Gagdi is still with us. He's the chair of the House Reps Committee on the Navy, and will be touching on issues related to his party. The allegations that leaders in his party are bribing opposition with 50 million naira. Who are those getting the 50 million naira? Honorable Gagdi will tell us why his party will be bribing opposition with 50 million naira. That's next on the conversation tonight. Join us again. All right. Thank you so much. Honorable Yusuf Gagdi has been speaking with us. Honorable, in fact, there are evidence to the fact that Mr. Usman Alkali Baba was actually appointed, and his tenure was supposed to be for 4 years, but for some reason, the president jettisoned his term and appointed another Inspector General of Police it does look like the letter from the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation at the time, a letter dated 30th November 2021 in appointment of Mr. Usman Alkali Baba as the IG with a reference to Section 215 of the Constitution. Says that his appointment will take effect from the 4th of June 2021 and is for a period of 4 years in the first instance as provided under Section 7, Subsection 6 of the Nigerian Police Act. But Alkali Baba was not allowed to spend 4 years.
Yes, I have an answer to that. I will not defend why he was not allowed to benefit. Me and you agree that this bill was signed on the 16th of September 2020. Are we together?
Yes.
5 years ago. When in the last 5 years, Adamu Mohammed Abubakar was the IGP, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, the person that gives that information, tell him, what did he do when Adamu Mohammed Abubakar was to benefit from that bill and he didn't benefit? Somebody announced his removal and brought Alkali Baba. What happened? It is just sentiment. I didn't benefit. I am close to perhaps Usman Alkali Baba, and he was appointed, and he didn't benefit.
Then heaven, about 2 years.
So then heaven should fall. What about the person that the bill was signed during his term? He was serving as Inspector General of Police, Adamu Mohammed Abubakar, who did not benefit from that. What do you say? If we want to trace irregularity or sentiment or whatever name you call it, let's start tracing it from the day that the bill was signed into law. Why is it that
does the law give discretion to the president to jettison the term of the 4 years? For example, is it possible that President Tinubu, just for a moment, that President Tinubu will say, Egbetokun, you spent 2 years, I'm appointing another person. Does the law give the president that discretion, even when he has set out for the initially that Egbetokun he will spend 4 years in office?
Ordinarily, no. You know me, I'm a parliament that call white, white, black, black. Is not. The law did not recognize that. But again, why are we talking in the media? I have not had former IG Usman Alkali Baba for him to have a legal instrument in line with the provision of Section 7, Subsection 6 of the 2020 Police Act, go to court to challenge his removal. Then why should I be here to talk about that? I'm only telling you that if that is a legal rot, it does not start from Usman Alkali Baba. If it is a legal lacuna, it started from Muhammad Adamu Abubakar. When the bill was signed into law, when he was supposed to...
Are you justifying the decision of the president?
But again...
Just remember, are you justifying the position or the decision of President Tinubu?
I am. I am.
But Showore is faulting it.
That is his business.
There are those who think that...
But I have tell you too, I'm faulting Showore, because the bill was not signed yesterday by President Tinubu. It was signed by Muhammadu Buhari in 2020. Where was he? Then I cannot, based on this, Sheung, you cannot have a place for the views, for the insult of Showore against the Inspector General of Police and against the police and against the National Assembly. We make the law, sent to the president, he signed. We subjected it to public scrutiny. He was nowhere to be found. And today he is calling the process that was passed by both Senate and House of Rep illegitimate. Why wouldn't they take him to court? And I will continue to ask, where was he in 2020 when it was signed into law? Where was he?
Honorable, this was how the police reacted to it today. And it's literally just a few minutes before we entered into the studio. And I quoted a portion of what the police said today in that statement. And the police said, IGP Egbetokun's appointment is firmly grounded in law, specifically Part 3, Section 7C6 of the Police Act 2020 as amended. This provision explicitly states that the person appointed to the office of the Inspector General of Police shall hold office for 4 years. Moreover, his appointment was duly ratified by the Police Council and he has received the requisite confirmation letter from the presidency validating his tenure from October 31, 2023 to October 31, 2027 in line with the provisions of Section 8A of the Executive Bill passed, which amended the Police Act, clearly stating that notwithstanding the provisions of subsection 8 of this section, and a person appointed to the office of the Inspector General of Police shall remain in office until the end of term stipulated in the letter of appointment in line with the provisions of Section 7(6) of this Act. The police today says whatever Sowore is saying is misleading and unfounded. On a final note on this one, how do you think the police should handle this matter? Because it calls to question the police are saying that those claims are baseless and misleading, and they are capable of destabilizing the legitimacy of the office of the IG. Do you think so too?
First, you know me, if the IG is wrong, I will go beyond channels and CNN and tell him he is wrong. The people have succeeded in personalizing this conversation, not between me and you. All conversation about the appointment of IG, they have personalized it. They have succeeded in bringing regional and tribal sentiment to it, which to me, as a natural Nigerian, is unacceptable. I am a beneficiary of a community that does not use sentiment. Otherwise, I wouldn't be where I am. That is one. Two, who appoints Inspector General of Police? Mr. President. But the law makes it clear, including the Constitution, Section 212 or 216, I cannot remember clearly, 215, stipulates that President can appoint Inspector General of Police on the recommendation of National Police Council. The President is a chairman of National Police Council. Then why are people thinking that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu just stood up and began to sign letter and send to the President Inspector General of Police? Do you think Mr. President will act in disagreement with provision of Section 15 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? The Police Council have sat. They have made recommendation to Mr. President. Mr. President have approved their recommendation and appointed the IG. And someone have issue with that. Or some people have instigated somebody to come and create chaos. We will not allow that to happen. We will continue to talk on this subject matter and clarify.
It's interesting.
Because if it was yesterday, or Asiwaju was the one that signed the Police Act of 2020, I will not even be here to defend the position of the National Assembly. I'm not speaking for National Assembly. I am speaking as the originator of the Police Act complete reenactment and repeal. That is one of my achievements as a parliament in the Federal House of Representatives in Nigeria. Police reform. I champion it. I champion a police act that from 1999, it was very difficult politically to be adjusted by both the Senate and Reps. Then I did.
Were you able to adjust arbitrary bail conditions?
Of course.
Of course. Because Sowore is facing bail condition. He rejected the administrative
bail condition is not a provision of the Police Act. We have the penal court and other laws that guide the conduct of the judiciary.
Administrative bail
it has nothing to do.
No, is in the purview of the police.
No.
Administrative bail.
No.
It's in the purview
yes,
of the
they can grant bail at their level.
A court bail is within the jurisdiction
in this case, which I expect you to even mention, to appreciate the present police, I'm saying this, people can read it politically. They have the force. They have the AK-47, but they decided to take the matter to court for the third tier of government, third arm of government, judiciary, to interpret the position of the law and do justice to either Sowore or police. If they have done that, we should be clapping for them.
Should we clap? They are law enforcement officers.
What if they have kept him like, do you know, other regions, they arrest you, they don't know where you are.
We're not in a banana republic.
So that is why,
democracy.
That is why I appreciate the law enforcement agency for respecting the provision of law by not taking the laws in their hand. In the case of what happened between the Nigerian police and Sowore, they decided to approach the court of competent jurisdiction to say, should we keep him or not? And at the level of releasing him, it cannot be the provision of the Police Act that the judge will use to justify his granting of bail or not. It is the provision of other laws that govern judicial conduct.
So Egbertokun is legitimately and constitutionally
appointed by the recommendation of the National Police Council to Mr. President.
Maybe Egbertokun is a lucky man.
That one, you invite him for this program. But I'm here to say that National Assembly did well. I'm here to say that nobody, as a civic activist who was invited to make presentation on the floor at the committee sitting, all civil society organizations were invited publicly in more than 7 different national dailies. I can present them here. The man did not come. Laws were signed, bill was signed into law in 2020. The man did not say anything. Why are you talking now?
All right, Honorable, one of the reasons why I invited you is I'm wondering, why is your party bribing political leaders? Just for a moment. I know that the PDP is dealing with its own trouble. And in Bauchi, you saw what happened yesterday in Abuja. Some northeastern leaders of the party, some governors met today in Bauchi. Let me allow you to listen to the outcome of that meeting. Some of the governors and leaders are speaking.
We have adopted a model that the zonal chairman, together with the chairman of the states within the Northeast, we make up briefs for the Reconciliation Committee, which we will study.
So, let me tell you something. Since you want us to go there, I think the federal government presence in Plateau is 80% more than the state government presence in Plateau. Put me anywhere. The interventions are from federal government. Right. The infrastructural development in terms of projects are from federal government. We have 5 higher institutions from federal government. We have over 21 political appointments from federal government.
Honorable, we're totally out of time.
So what are you talking about?
I appreciate your time. Honorable Yusuf Gagdi, member of the House of Representatives.
But leadership is not acting on rumors.
Kanam and Kanki Federal Constituency in Plateau State, and chair of the House Committee on the Navy. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you, my brother.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm sure I'll see you next time. God bless Nigeria.